Today's session, special session with three mega producers, mega teams in Southern California, and we're still missing one, but she's going to jump in a little bit. So just to do a quick round introduction, and then we're going to share also what the purpose of this session is all about, as we promoted and sent out. And once again, thanks to whoever is joining us on the Zoom. I'm going to start with the out of here in Long Beach, California. Brad Jones represent the Jones team, Shannon and Brad Jones, mega team. Brad, good to have you guys.
Thank you.
You want to give us a quick background about you guys, your background, your story in a nutshell?
Story in a nutshell. Okay. Well, it's the Shannon Jones team. My wife and I have a team. She started in the business in '98, and I joined full-time about 2006. Right now, we have a team with ourselves, one buyer's agent, two inside sales agents over in the Philippines, a full-time operations manager, and a full-time marketing manager. And we're currently outsourcing our TC work to somebody who used to be our operations manager, actually. And we're actively looking to grow the team. We've done, right now we're at 27 closed and pending this year. Just opened 3 escrows Monday.
Yeah.
And we could really use a eager buyer's agent who is ready to do a lot of business, but we're looking to grow. In this market, it's very good right now. So
yeah, thanks for sharing, Brad. And we're going to talk about those kind of opportunities and how does it look like and everything. And one more question is, what is your primary market share? Where are you guys mainly focusing on?
We are mostly in the Long Beach and Lakewood area. Sorry for that. We're mostly in the Long Beach, Lakewood area. We do work North Orange County, South LA County, and then we get much farther from there and we refer out, but really primarily centered around Long Beach.
That's amazing. All right, thanks, Brad. We're gonna get back to you like with everybody else with more questions, but thanks for sharing. And then next we have Wendy Rizzo out of the South Bay office. Wendy, good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
So thanks for joining. Kind of in a brief background, share with us what is your story, right? I open up saying that we have three big producers on the screen today, and you representing the South Bay area, South Bay, San Pedro area. A quick background about your story and your team today.
Okay, so this is my 20th year in business. I'm originally from Northern California, moved to San Pedro 13 years ago, and became a Keller Williams agent 12 years ago. I was a team leader for 2 different market centers, including Coastal, and then another one in the City of Industry. Now run a small team. I have 2 buyer's agents and an assistant, and our territory is fairly large. We just closed a deal in Simi Valley, but we do go into North Orange County as well. I like to cut off at El Segundo, so if you can picture that border from El Segundo all the way to North Orange County, that's probably the territory that the 3 of us are working at this point.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And I always like all of you guys see you active on social media, so we're going to talk about that as well.
Okay, great.
Excited about this year's growth as well too. Thank you, Wendy. And then up next we have Amee Skutvik. Amee, I see you. I don't see your video, but I see you and hear you right now. Amee, out of our westside office, even though she covers very interesting geographic area. Amee.
Hi, Meny.
I'm based out of Tehachapi, which is north of Los Angeles, and I'm taking my team a different direction and growing it further south. Based on what happened with COVID, my direction's kind of changed there, and it's allowing me to expand into other markets. So
Yeah,
I've been doing it. Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I've been doing this for about 19 years now. I currently have one buyer's agent, an assistant. My TC's outsourced, and working on growing my team, as well as with agent count and an admin person that can head up like social media.
Yeah, that's great. Amee specializes also, in Tehachapi, which is just north of Bakersfield area. So it's kind of further out north with expansion into the west side Los Angeles area. So it's kind of interesting dynamic. Once again, every one of you, how you function and how you work that, that kind of a business. So here's the first question for you, and not by any particular order. You can just jump in and feel free to answer. And by the way, you can also ask questions one another if you wish so, right? Go back for a second, right? Think about yourself as a new agent, which you probably started. I mean, maybe Brad, you're a bit different because you're recruited by Shannon, right? Into a team. But think of that capacity for a second, right? When did you know that it's the time for you to grow and expand beyond your whatever you're capable of doing? What was the trigger? Brad.
I will speak for my wife a little bit here. She started with Keller Williams in 2002 and very quickly started doing a lot more business. And at some point she realized she needed an assistant. She had an assistant before she joined, but about 2005, when I came on the business full time, we actually added 3 buyer's agents, and we had a big team kind of early in that team building process, because you realize you just can't be everywhere at once and you can't do everything that you need to do. So I think the evolution of teams has really revolved around how much more there is to do in our business now than there was, even 10 years ago. With the social media, as you mentioned, all the paperwork. So yeah, we just kind of realized you have to let go a little bit. You have to say, I'm not the best one to do everything. And once you're able to do that, then you can grow your team and you'll be a lot more successful. But yeah, I think just knowing that there's so much to do in this business to be successful as an individual agent is just very hard right now.
Love it. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Brad. That's great. Any other insight, Amee, Wendy, about that? Like when you're a solo crushing it agent, and they're like, okay, I need to expand myself. Like when was that triggered?
I would say that it's just when you have a number of people on your board that you really need to give attention to, and you think, well, this is usually my limit. Maybe I can stretch a little bit more. Maybe I can add 1 or 2 more people, but to give them the kind of exemplary service that I want to give them, I probably need to have help. And so that was when I decided that it was probably time to have a team, because of so much lead generation sources. There was no way that one person could handle that all at once.
And Amee, you work in more of a niche market, at least in the Tehachapi area over there, right? And also it's like, that's the secret big bear or arrowhead of that area, right? All the vacation homes, etc. What made you expand to a team, or at one point, going back?
It was about 2013 when I realized I needed help. And it was right after I came to Keller Williams, honestly, because I was one of those controlling agents that felt like I was the only person that could do it right. But yet I was stretching myself with the amount of production I was doing, and I only had a TC at the time. The model within Keller Williams allowed me to change that and grow, but it was difficult at first for me to let go of some of that responsibility. That's for sure. It's still difficult, you know, but it's evolved over time. I think it's easier for me to let go of certain things now compared to then.
Yeah, what Amee referring to is the have to have the control, right?
Right.
Control on the business, or on everything, and that's well said, because that's where, you know, Brad also mentioned that to in a little bit, in the sense of like, okay, I have the control, but maybe it might be limiting my potential, my growth. How can I expand more, right, Brad?
That's true. We're not the best people to do everything. And once you come to that realization, you know, somebody else is a much better marketer than we are. Somebody else is better at social media, but we can, if you have the team in place, you can focus on just those dollar productive activities, you know, working with your clients, writing offers, negotiating deals, you know, having a cup of coffee with a client or a potential client. Those kinds of things are where we should be spending our time, not on all the other stuff that comes along.
Chasing paper and
yes,
that type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on those parts as well, because you know, part of this session is to talk about teams, right? But also to explain the agent, the solo agent, that I mean, just for you to understand, like, at least my perception on this, right? In our organizations in KW, there's a lot of opportunities. And the cool thing, I'm talking, you know, as the agent who start, you know, solo agent, right? The newbie in the office, is that you step into a team, even as a solo agent, because it's surrounded by such a big capacity of talent and sharing and training and support and the TC and the escrow and whatever it is. So you already are in a team, right? And if you're brand new agent, then we have the mentoring program, and you know, do those, you know, 3 deals or so, and then you graduate. Then okay, what's next for me, right? Because as a side note, not everybody, and you guys feel free to share as well, but most teams will prefer to have someone with some experience than someone who just, you know, got the license. Once again, I'm saying not everybody, but it's a matter of preference, because there is more leaning on the office to train and build the basic foundations of the agents. But here's my question to you. So why join a team? What's the benefit? What's the ideal situation? Or maybe, right, the second part of the question is, who's the agent that might be a great fit for your team? And that's like more of an individual question for you guys, if you want to share.
I'll go first again. I think we've realized that we can train agents, but I don't know that just with Shannon and myself, if we're the ideal spot for somebody who's never done anything before. I think, you know, somebody that has, like you said, a little bit of production under their belt, or they've been quote unquote in the business for a little while, knowing what has to be done, I think then they can recognize the benefits of joining a team. Okay. Because I think as an individual agent, there's so much to do that if you join a team that's already established and productive, you can plug into the systems that we have, or Wendy has, or Amee has, and again, focus on those dollar productive activities. They can be talking to clients. They can be making the follow-up calls, you know, booking the showings, getting in the car and going out and showing clients property. So I think the advantage in today's market for a brand new agent or a newer agent would be to find a team that meshes with your personality. You really have to fit with a team, and we've had fits and starts with that ourselves, and I'm sure other teams have as well. But you have to find somebody that really fits with the team, And if you do, then, you know, you can put yourself in a situation to be very successful.
I completely agree with that. And Meny, one thing that I think you and I have discussed is when it comes to a new agent and my team, I really would prefer that they look at me as a mentor first and make sure they're a fit, because as a Rainmaker, making a bad hire is worse than not making any hire. So if there's somebody that comes to me that's brand new and green and needs guidance that may grow into a fit for my team, I'm open to that, but I'm not nearly as comfortable in bringing somebody on that doesn't have, or that already has a little bit of experience.
I think I'm with them as well, as far as like at least having like 2 to 3 completed transactions so that you understand the process at least. Because it's really time consuming to have to just talk about the basics. But the fit is really important. I think, or at least I've heard that some realtors are egomaniacs. And so we really have to find somebody that doesn't want it to be all about themselves, that they want to be a team player, and that, you know, everybody can work towards common goals. And so that's a big important thing about trying to make a choice for adding a team member, because if they're thinking that it's just going to be a springboard, then that's kind of a bummer, because you put a lot of, you know, attention and time into somebody to try to help them and to obviously help your team as well. And so from the outset, it needs to be, this is my future for this amount of time, at least, you know, that they're wanting to be in that environment. And then it makes it that everybody wants to put in the work to help that individual and for that individual to be a part of a successful team. I think that's really critical to adding someone.
And I'll just add on to that. Pardon me. That when we bring somebody on, the whole team interviews them. Shannon and I interview them initially. We do that, but then they meet with Kelly and Julia on our team. Everybody has to buy in, and Shalise, everybody has to buy in on our team that this will be a good fit for this person to join. And if it's not, then, you know, we'll offer support, but it won't be as a member of the team. Yeah, just the culture, the camaraderie, the willingness to grow as a team. One of the questions we ask in an interview is, are you okay that your name is not going to be on the for sale sign? That ego thing that Wendy just mentioned, you know, are you okay with that? And you have to be okay with that to join a team. So.
Yeah, good points, all of you. I mean, you are, you know, if you're an agent who join as a team, you join a family business pretty much. You know, so and that's like another unique thing that I appreciate about our cultures, right? Our culture, our communities, I mean, between the offices. So it's got to be a great fit, and it's great that you guys, you know, like all the players in the team, in the family business, to interview this new person, just because it's got to be that same type of energy, right? Thanks for sharing, guys. So here's another question. How does it look like, right? We know that, and feel free to share whatever, you know, however you run your show, or maybe what you're looking for ideally, right? Because I'm an agent, and I had a few transactions. And on a side note, whoever's in this session right now that join us, thank you guys. And whoever's going to watch us later in the KW Shares private group and outside is to encourage you to break through, to commit enough, or to work hard enough to commit to that level that you understand the basics. And you did a couple of deals that, okay, now you don't have to join a team, but you have more opportunities, right? So that's the key. And thank you guys for you know, mentioning that part is, what are you looking for? If I'm a new agent and I have some experience, but I want to go from that 3 deals or 5 deals a year to 10, 15, 20, what have you, right? Because I'm part of your operations, and maybe even more, it depends on the capacity, right? So how does it look like with your operations? John, whatever.
With us, it's, you know, I think Wendy and Amy both mentioned it, if you have a few deals under your belt, I think you have at least the exposure to the business that you need in order to know, okay, this is what it takes to close a transaction. But so then I think that somebody can recognize the value of joining a team better if you've had that experience. So what could we offer? If somebody is kind of not reaching their potential, if they're, doing that 6-8 deals a year, and they know they can do better if they just had the support or were able to focus on something else. So our expectation is that once somebody joins us and they're up to speed and trained, that they would be doing 2 deals a month or 24 a year. And we put that in our independent contractor agreement. So that's the minimum standard. I think that's a standard that can be easily exceeded if we're doing our job to support them. So, there's a ramp up period of time where you got to, meet your new clients and get up to speed. But once you're maybe 2 to 3 months in, would be expecting you to be doing 2 deals a month. So.
One of the things I think benefited me was that I was on a team twice. Once was in Northern California. I came out of new home sales after 5.5 years there when the market was crashing, and it started where I was sooner than out here. It actually started in 2006 where I was. So I kind of had to get my feelings hurt to understand that it wasn't going to be all about me, and that I was going to be on somebody's team, and I was a buyer's agent, and that Rainmaker was helping me to have opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have. And that was a hard thing for me to have to swallow, but it was a necessary thing for sure. And then when I said I was going to move to LA because I was doing really well, he was like, no, I'll give you more money. I'll pay you more. And I was like, no, I have to leave. So then I came to LA, and I didn't know the area and I didn't know the rules. I'd never sold a condo because everywhere that it was just basically almost all new home construction, or at least homes that have been built in the last 40 years. So I never done condos. I had to learn all of that and all of this vast territory that we have to work with. And so again, I was somebody's buyer's agent, and I had to learn how to work under that umbrella and to appreciate what I was being taught and what I was being given in the way of opportunities. And I think that people don't realize what they don't know until they get involved with somebody that's been doing it for a long time, and they see how many different ways there are to close a transaction, and how many different pieces to the puzzle there are, and how you can negotiate in ways that you never thought you could to help to close things. And that really opens people's eyes and makes them be really grateful that they are on a team.
Thank you. Maybe anything to add on your end?
No, I agree with that. I think when people come into this business and they haven't done a single deal, everything seems really easy and simple. And there's nothing really easy about what we do. Having a Rainmaker or somebody behind you that has a lot of experience can make a huge difference. I mean, especially in a market like this. I mean, we have to get so creative in order to just get our offer accepted, and then finagle our way through the rest of the transaction. It just makes a huge difference instead of having to navigate that on your own. But I think the ego does get in the way, and until people have done a couple of them on their own, they're simply not going to see what they're really up against. So
what are you guys focusing on mostly as the team lead, as the Rainmaker? What is your job? And then what is the typical agent or entry-level agent that joins a team job is?
I think with us, our job as Rainmakers is to lead generate. I mean, it's our name out there that's bringing in the business, and working with our marketing person and doing the lead generation to bring in the leads. Now, the buyer's agents on our team, the agents on our team, I'll clarify that in a second, but the agents on our team are expected to lead generate as well, but a lot of what they're going to be doing is lead follow-up, because we have a huge database, and some of them are, 2, 3, 4-year-old Zillow leads that we're now getting active again. So a lot of the expectation for the Rainmaker is, I'm bringing in the business. I'm here, it's my name out there in the world. People are doing business with the Shannon Jones team. And the buyer's agent or the agents on the team are there to support us and to follow up on all the leads that we're bringing in. Now we've kind of shifted a little ourselves. As somebody joins us, their initial role will be buyer's agent. They will be working primarily with buyers. But we're shifting to calling our agents more sales agents, because we can see them shifting into handling listings as well down the road. But when you're brand new or you've got a few deals under your belt, you're going to be working with buyers. That's just the way it works.
Well, and also on a side note, naturally, when you did the Rainmaker, right? I mean, whoever controlled the listing controlled the market share, right? In a sense, so that brings more opportunities. And as all of you mentioned, there's only much you can do as a solo agent. So you want to share that excess flow of leads or what have you. And I mean, not to mention today's crazy market, right? More buyers, low inventory, but there's a lot of things to carry over.
The listings drive the business. That's true. Can't wait to be able to do open houses again, because that was a huge source of business for us. Not that I would be sitting at the open house myself so much, but the buyer's agents would be. But just being able to use that as a lead generation tool, the listings still drive the business. We're still getting the phone to ring by our listings, but yeah.
Yeah, and on a side note, it's so amazing because we in April, well, it's almost it's over a year that some of the new licensees in this industry, I mean, over a year that they have no idea what an open house is. So imagine whoever once again is watching us now and later, the opportunities that will be added to your business. Thanks, Brad. Wendy?
When you talked about what does it look like what's our job? It is lead generation, of course, but then also I think it's being able to provide coaching. So coming from a coaching background, I was a coach at LA Harbor, and then I became a team leader and I was coaching my top 20%. So I'm always trying to coach and also to ask, how can I support you? What can I do to help you? What are you missing right now? Can you walk me through what's going on so that I can help you? And I think that that's important too, because sometimes people get stuck. They don't really even know what to do, but it's possible to get it to go forward. And so having those moments with them to try to work through the details of what's happening and then see how you can push it onward is a really critical piece to their success and to the team's success as a whole.
Yeah. And Wendy, when someone, who's the ideal person, agent that you're looking for in your situation? Someone who's going to be focusing on specific market share, or like Brian mentioned, buyers or sales agent?
Right. So, I mean, right now, definitely I am, wanting the individual that comes to not feel limited. So provided that they're ready to take on a listing too, because it's another skill set, right? So they have to have all of it together to move forward to that next step. But definitely I want them to feel like it's something that they can work towards. And if they're willing, person I would be looking for is somebody that's willing to work hard and to remain hungry and to remain humble. If you can do those things, then you will be successful. But drive is an inner thing. And so somebody's got to possess that drive and have that desire in this business to make it. And if they do, then, they're unstoppable. The opportunities are limitless, but they have to possess that within themselves and then get what we're giving them in order for them to flourish. So.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Amee?
I agree. I definitely want somebody who is self-motivated and driven, but who's also coachable. I know a lot of times people come into this business and that's probably the furthest thing from their mind. I think they're just going to jump in and kill it. And then we get to pick up the pieces if something starts to fall apart. So the ideal person for me is going to be somebody who's definitely coachable and driven. My standard is also the 24 deals a year. I think that's a really good place to start. But if they're not willing to get on the phones or lead generate or be forward thinking, then they're not going to be a fit for what I have going on. I'm not the greatest hand holder. So self-motivation is very important to me.
So wait, I'm confused, right? It sounds like there's no magic pills like the one that you go and get in Costco and just take 1 or 2 a day and you just get tons of business. So even if I join a team, I really have to work real estate, huh?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And a lot of people don't think that they're going to have to work if they join a team, that we're just going to hand them over a lead and then they're going to go close it. But in an ideal world, they'd be able to do that and do it at a high level. But there's just a lot more that goes into it than just simply them, I'll say, taking our business, right? Like we're procuring that lead and we're handing it to somebody. They need to work for it as well.
I think what Amee said, the coachable is the key. They have to be willing to listen, willing to learn. And, you know, we're doing role play every morning, Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 to 9, we role play and everybody on the team jumps on. So you have to be willing to make that commitment, whether you've been in the business a year or 20 years. That's a skill that you keep having to develop. So, even us as Rainmakers, we still have to continue to be willing to learn and train and be coachable ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. How can you be great at anything unless you're willing to always practice? You have to be practicing all the time in order to continue to grow. So that's a really critical thing for the Rainmaker and any teammates all the time.
Yeah, and once again, I want to thank you guys for be on this panel and sharing, because sharing and teaching and be on those kind of calls is also practicing what and you share with with us out there. So thanks again for that. We just once again broke that I guess almost 13 months right in pandemic. What it changed your business to a certain extent, most likely, right? How fast did you transition, whatever it was, March of last year, and what are you focusing on mostly right now heading north?
I think the transition for us was like with everybody. I mean, you have to be able to pivot and say that old lead generation source isn't going to be available to me for a while. Fortunately, we have a full-time marketing person, and they were able to just put a lot more of our resources into Facebook and Google and all the things that she spends her whole day on, because again, one of our biggest lead sources was open houses. So we had to shift and say, okay, that's not available. What are we going to do? We're not going to door knock. We're not going to have open houses. How are we going to generate leads? So you just have to be able to see what's the market doing. I mean, going forward, I think we're probably going to continue to do what we're doing. I think our business is fundamentally going to change a little bit even after the pandemic's over. And how we do an open house will change, things like that. So I think they'll come back eventually, but how do you do them? I don't know. We'll have to get together and see.
I think for me, it was an opportunity to grow, really. I mean, we did have to shift gears as far as working virtually. And even though that's always been an option, when we didn't have an option anymore, it kind of took away that safety net for me. I've not been one who's been nearly as virtual as some agents. So it just offered me a lot of opportunity for me to align myself with the Westside office. My assistant and everybody can be virtual now. We don't do and never have done a ton of open houses where I am because we cover our territories. Just, it's not something you can go door knock, to say the least. So we switched it up, but it's just given us a lot more opportunity to maybe get out of our comfort zone. It's the same thing when the crash hit, right? And we had to start doing short sales. I think it just, you can look at it from either a real positive standpoint or a negative. It's just how you choose to deal with it.
For me, I think I was looking for information when things changed. It was a little bit of a scramble to try to look for information to understand, okay, what are the key things that we have to be paying attention to, and what do we need to do differently now to pivot or to adapt to what the new way of doing business was, not necessarily the new market or, whatever, but what's the new way of doing business, and, how much of that are we going to keep, like Brad said, how much of that are we going to keep moving forward? I think that that's been it's actually been positive. I think in a way, the pandemic has done good things for us, because we've learned how to do a lot of things like the call that we're on right now, where we're all in different places, but we're actually able to meet. It's just a huge step forward to get a lot more things done in an easier way, actually. So it is a positive thing in some regard.
And I think if you are able to show, now that we've had a year under our belt, if you're able to show success over the last year, you can use that in your marketing. Now, when we go on a listing presentation, how are we doing business differently than the other agents in the market that haven't made that shift, that haven't adapted, and they're still doing things the old school way, dropping flyers on doorsteps or whatever. How are we different from somebody else? And now that we have a year under our belt, we have some evidence to back up what we're saying. So I think it's an opportunity for agents who do have teams or do have the systems in place to use it in their marketing.
Yeah, well said. And piggyback on that one. I mean, we always go on the positive side, or rather go on the positive side. It's just less time wasting, focusing on the negative, right? So the positive is always the right way to go. And another thing is, especially whoever is watching, if you're newer to this industry, right? I think you're very fortunate in the sense of like practicing real estate in that way, because things will come back as a new, modified whatever version, but eventually they're going to, go back to whatever normal it used to be before at some point. So, those mega teams right now that are on the call, and wherever, you guys as single agents practicing real estate full-time during pandemic, it's only going to take you, to that better habits. And if you're going to keep those habits and add on the, old school real estate, right, that will come back at some point, that's just, I mean, it's going to be incredible, even more so. So whoever is watching us over here, anybody has questions, you can either type it in or maybe unmute yourself. I would love to take some questions from whoever is watching us, and other TLs as well, if you guys want to ask something.
I have a question.
Hey, Holly.
Hey guys, thank you so much for your time, for being here. So you all kind of explained what the ideal candidate looks like in regards to joining your team. Let's say that someone doesn't fit that expectation right now. What are some of the things that they can do to help prepare themselves to make that transition into a team down the line?
I would say they should be working with a coach. Every office is different. So some people have coaching programs in place in their market center. And I think they should be willing to try to go after that first 3 deals independently, if they're brand new, with the aid of a coach to help them to get some basic knowledge and get their feet underneath them so that it can prepare them for being able to join a team.
I agree. I think, coach, mentor in the office can give them some real world advice. Because I think, like we've all 3 mentioned, joining a team like ours, I think we all want somebody with a little bit of experience under their belt. And that's where, like Wendy said, a coach or a mentor in the office could kind of give you some guidance.
And even the market center. I mean, the market center as a whole, being with Keller Williams, we have so much training and classes and things available to where if they just put in the work and show a little initiative on their own, it would definitely get them to those 3 quicker than sitting at home. I mean, 87% of people fall out of this business within the first 5 years, right? So actively engaging from the beginning will make a huge difference.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Honey. Great question. Other questions you guys have, whoever is watching us, that's the best time to ask. Don't be shy.
Manny,
Yes.
you ask them, how do their pay structures work if someone wants to join the team?
Great question from the crowd over here. I have a crowd. Oh, yay, real crowd. How does it normally or typically works with the compensation, in a team, right? For like a new agent who joins the team.
Every team's different. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can structure commissions. I'll just be upfront. I mean, the math is easier. We just split it 50-50. Our job is to be the lead generation and have the back office support and transaction coordination. Their job is to work the leads and work the deals. We just split it 50-50. I do know agents that they'll take a commission and say they'll take 10% off the top for admin and marketing fees and then split it. Or there's 60-40 splits. I mean, our team, we'll do it 50-50. And we do make exceptions if it's a immediate family member or something. We're not going to take a full split. We take like a 10% for marketing expenses if it's a listing or something. If it's an immediate family member, but most of the time 50-50.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
It's definitely different for every team. After being on a team, I know what it's like. And so my team and compensation is structured a little bit differently. So Brad's right, it is different from team to team. I've heard all kinds of things from 30% off the top to 50-50 to other things as well. So I think it really just depends on a few factors. I mean, too, if you're bringing somebody on and you feel like you're going to have to handhold a lot, then that might change the compensation, at least at the beginning, until a person gets to a certain level, and then that might change, give them something to work towards.
Yeah. And I love that, motivation spice or pill, right? It's like, it was same thing, whoever's watching, right? Wherever you are, whatever place in your career, if you are considering getting not in that capacity yet, it's gonna, get you encouraged to do more, to get it faster, to explore more opportunities, right? There's definitely clear advantage to work with big agents, big teams that are that you're choosing to be partners in each other's success and path. I think it's even exciting. That was my journey too, right? New agent, mentor, graduated, joined, a team, and then, did my own thing later on. But it's definitely a great path.
I will jump in here and comment and tag on something. You mentioned it earlier on, is we're not looking for agents for this to be a springboard for them to go out and build their own team. Okay. 5-10 years from now, they can possibly, maybe they will do that. But if we're giving them everything that meets their personal goals, if they're able to meet their goals by working on the team, I would see a long-term relationship, 3, 4, 5 years plus. I mean, we worked with a coach a few years ago, and he had a buyer's agent that was with him 12 years until she retired. Just, you know, if you're meeting their goals, there won't be that incentive to say, okay, I'm going to go out and do this on my own. You know, they'll recognize the value of being on a team.
And just to add on to that, by the way, you know, if I'm a new agent, right, and I'm just going to throw a total random example, right, and I, you know, made, I don't know, 30, 40K my first year. I was like, kind of, you know, part-time-ish, and then, okay, full-time real estate, but that was my income, which is, you know, by the way, the national average, I think it's about 24,000 a year, right? They do count also part-time agents, but those are the numbers. If I join a team and they help me to hit my goals, and let's say I jump from that to maybe I doubled my income the first year with the team, right? And I'm only, you know, only going to keep increasing or whatever it is. Why would I cut or stop whatever made me more successful? So that's number one. Number two is, and those are maybe like what I call old school principles, but those are just like basic principle. If you are in this business to be successful, it's not a weekend gig for a long term. It's 10, 20, 30 years career. I think it's super exciting, right? So that path of that, you know, 5, 10, Brad mentioned this guy, 12 years or what have you, career, it's only part of your entire journey. At one point, whatever happens, happens. So good point, Brad.
I have a question for all three of the panelists here. It's a two-part question. One, when seeking someone to join part of your team, are you looking for a full-time agent or a part-time agent? That's question number one. Question number two for the panelists is when before you're actually having the agent join the team, do you do some type of assessment like a KPA or some type of a personality assessment to gauge maybe their resume shows well, but are they going to be a good fit? So that's question number two.
For me, they're definitely full-time. I don't want to have to mess with anybody that's not going to take this serious enough to be a full-time agent. And I do issue either a KPA or a DISC.
I agree. We do the same thing. We do a DISC test. We want to see the DISC. We want to make sure their DISC is compatible with the position. And then again, full-time only. We're not looking, you just can't do it part-time. And be as successful as we need somebody to be.
Yep, definitely full-time only. Definitely do a KPA or a DISC or both. And back in the old days when they called it recruit select, now I don't even know what they call it, but you have to do a series of interviews with somebody, I think, before you bring them on. And you need to ask them questions that are, I guess, takes them off guard because they're probably not expecting those types of questions. And then you're getting to the heart of who they are as a person. And I think that's a critical part of bringing somebody on, because again, Brad, as you mentioned, this is your team, it's your name, it's your brand out there. And this person now is becoming a representative of that brand. And so if we're not careful, that could be disastrous.
Yeah, and just to add as well, Simon, great question. If you are, you know, what I call figure of speech, right? Because I was that guy, weekend warrior, right? You have a full-time job, either, you know, 7 a.m., 4 p.m. job, sometimes weekends too. My first year and a half with KW, I did 14 deals back to back, right? And over 12 million volume sold with the mentor. And then, you know, most of it was my leads, my deals with the team lead. But to my point is, it took me a year and a half to transition and leave my full-time job while I was doing that as a part-time gig, right? It doesn't work if you are doing something full-time and your team works full-time only on real estate, right? So but you guys can add on how that looks like.
We actually ask, I do, you know, you don't want to get too personal, but I ask, how comfortable are you working for 6 months if you don't have a regular income? I always recommend having 6 to 12 months reserves in the bank, living expenses, to start a job that's commission only. Because if it takes them a while to ramp up, and then it takes them a while to get the deal, and then a deal falls through and they have to start over, can they weather that storm a little bit and financially be committed to the job? Because like you said, you can't be doing it part-time and be as successful as we want them to be. So I want them to be comfortable that, okay, they can fully commit and they have the resources behind them to do that.
Meny, I'm all for helping someone who is like your weekend warrior type get to the point where they're able to make it full-time by mentoring within reason, but I'm certainly not going to be handing them leads and, you know, covering the expenses that we cover as a Rainmaker. But if someone wants to get out there and get in a position where they're full-time and get those 3 deals under their belt, I'm always available to help with things like that, to get them started.
The one thing I wanted to say is, Brad, thank you for mentioning having reserves in the bank, because I think that's super critical. But also, I think probably anybody that's been in this business for any level of time knows real estate is an emotional roller coaster. One day you're on top of the world and everybody loves you, and the next day something happens and you're not feeling so good. And so people, they don't just need to have money in the bank, right? They need to also be prepared for the emotional roller coaster, or the ups and downs of not getting paid when they think they're going to, or not getting that transaction that they thought they were going to, or getting, you know, 3 that they didn't expect. It just can go either way, and you have to really try to keep yourself stable and keep your mindset positive and keep yourself moving forward. That's why a lot of people leave the business, because they freak out because it's not happening as quick as they want it to, or it doesn't come into play exactly like they thought it would. And so they're like, oh, this isn't for me, I'll never make it, and they leave.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Great point for sure, and all of you for sharing. But just to, you know, summarize that piece is, it doesn't mean that you don't have a chance to, you know, a new agent, right? To break through, to get there. You just have to kind of figure out your path, right? How to break through from that one life to the future life that you want to win over or create or establish. And once again, by doing that, you create yourself more opportunities, right? And as you heard, you can be, you know, mentored, etc. by existing mentors or whatever is out there. Do you guys mind, by the way, to drop on the chat to everybody your maybe name, preferred email, number, if anybody, you know, happen to, you know, want to reach out and ask questions, maybe you guys can offer some opportunities, right? We have guests that are non-KW as well. Thank you guys for joining that exploring. I do think, by the way, that teams, by the way, are not the future. They're the reality for a long time. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, is when you walk into our communities in KW, you are in a team. So to be in a team within a team, right? Specifically, that's even more of a added value, and how you can capitalize even more on your potential depends on where you wanna, where you wanna go. So, you know, thank you guys for sharing. Quick, you know, round before we're gonna sum it up. Anything else that you guys wanna kind of end up with and share?
I did have a question. I'm with a different brokerage currently.
Oh yeah,
My name's
hey.
Lee. Hi. And we're talking about teams. I haven't been in a team before. I've worked as an individual since '04. My production is probably, you know, that 3 to 7 range because of what's going on in my life. Considering getting into teams compared to no teams, and of course you talk about Keller Williams having this betweener, you know, where there's the team is the company, are the employees, is the IT guy or whatever, the management and other other employees there. Talk to me a bit about that between teamwork.
Right, and you know, I can reach out to you laterally as well. My email is on the chat.
Sure.
You can reach out to me. But the in between is the independent agent, the one that needs this support. That usually, you know, if you're your own brokerage or maybe a smaller brokerage or maybe some other brokerages, there's a lot of great companies out there, right? It all comes down to what kind of support the individual gets from the team. So our agents in KW get that extra support that, you know, most companies don't offer or cannot offer. So you don't have to necessarily to join a team to survive. In addition, as you heard from those amazing agents, right? Amee, Wendy, Brad, there's in different market shares, different areas, there's opportunities within the company to join it's like a small company within a company, right? So they're structured in their special way in our community, getting our support in addition to what they offer. So the growth potential is usually greater if you guys mesh well. If you, as they mentioned, right? If you're coachable, because they're coachable, you just have to mesh. But once again, as I mentioned, the solo agent in our communities always will get the same utmost attention and care and support and systems and what have you, like anybody else. I hope I somewhat answered your question. And once again, you can reach out to me directly.
Okay, that's thank you.
So quick round, if you just have to sum it up, Brad, start with you. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think there's probably opportunities in all the offices to talk to teams, ourselves, Wendy's, Amee's, other teams available. I think even if you don't join a team, teams might have some opportunity for you to get some experience. I've used agents outside of our team as showing assistants when we needed extra help, things like that. So there might be opportunities within the office for a newer agent to get exposure to a team without actually joining a team yet. So keep an open mind to that. And then, you know, I'm available if somebody wants to call or pop in, give me a call ahead of time if you would. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk in more detail if anybody's interested.
Thanks, Brad. Wendy.
Yes, I'm always open to meeting new people and listening to what they're hoping to find and to see if maybe there's something that we could collaborate on. So definitely open to hearing from people and having conversations. I put my information there in the chat box.
Thank you. And Amee?
I feel the same. I'm here to help however I can. If anyone wants to reach out, my information's in the chat box as well.
Great. Well, thank you guys. Can't thank you enough for your time, from, you know, taking from your busy day and sharing. Amee, Wendy, Brad, and thanks for the information as well. And whoever is watching, today and when I watch in the future, reach out to us. You know, we can definitely help to run the disc and the KPAs and put in touch with those amazing people. So, guys, thank you so much for your time. Keep, you know, being healthy, busy, and successful. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
And let's stop recording.